Hello friends. This is my slightly belated video on how to use Facebook ads as an author. With the caveat that I am not an expert on Facebook ads by any means. I have used them many times over the years, but I always feel like I don't know what I'm doing and that the whole interface is kind of confusing. There are many authors who do lots of experimentation with them and advanced techniques, and they'll talk about all this like ways to maximize it, and they've taken courses that cost hundreds of dollars and then they learn all these things and then things change and the course gets an update or they take another course, and like this is a big part of their strategy is keeping up with Facebook ads and being a master of them. If you want to be this kind of author, then I would recommend looking into one of those courses, and I can't tell you which one to take because I haven't tried any of them because I hate Facebook ads. And I know that if I took one of those courses, all that would happen is that my brain would melt. This video is not to teach you how to become an expert in Facebook ads. This video is for people like me who feel like an overwhelmed dumbass whenever they look at Facebook ads. To encourage you to give it a try anyway, because sometimes trying is better than nothing. I've had pretty decent results with them, despite feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. So for starters, I thought that I would kick off this video by refreshing my knowledge about Facebook ads. I'd go to some author groups and communities and I'd read some posts about Facebook ads, and I would get you all the latest knowledge on how to maximize Facebook ads. Maybe I'd pick up a few tips and tricks of things that I could tweak in my Facebook ads. So I got on some forums. I started reading about what's been working with Facebook ads. I spent about 3 or 4 hours doing this, and I had a notebook at my side so I could take some notes of anything that seemed like a good idea. And what I found is that I didn't write anything down because I just felt overwhelmed the same way that I always do. And part of the reason I feel overwhelmed is because no sooner do you see a post saying, well, my Facebook ads worked out great as soon as I took Instagram out of the options and I clicked on this one thing and I raised my bid and I used a wide audience and I made sure that my image doesn't have a picture and that my description was short. And then you'll get somebody else who's like, I did the exact opposite. Like whatever it is, somebody is succeeding and someone is failing with those techniques. Therefore, reading about what people have done to maximize their Facebook ads only goes so far. So I'm just going to show you what I always do, which is pretty basic. I do it because it was just what seemed to make sense to me, and it seems to work fairly well. Now, if you feel the urge to experiment with anything doing it differently than I did it, go for it. It's highly possible that you could have good results doing something else, and if you don't, you're going to know pretty quickly. Feel free to experiment, but here's a baseline for you. And after reading all this stuff on communities, I went back to my basic starting point, which is to look at other people's ads that seem to have good engagement and have been running for a little while, and get the vibe for what's working and try my best to slot myself into that space, as well as just trying to think like a reader, using the usual techniques that I would use to hook a reader in any circumstance, like posing an intriguing question in the ad or just making sure that the branding fits the book, etc. One of the best tools is the database of all of the Facebook ads, and I will put a link to that in the description, but I'm also going to show it to you. So this video will cover my research process for looking up what ads are doing well. I'll show you the first 2 ads I made for my romantic fantasy, The Broken Queen, as well as the results of that ad. And then I will walk you through the creation of a new ad so that you can see how I did it. So let's get to it. Okay, so this is the Facebook ads library. And to get an idea for what's in my category, I would put in all ads for the United States. And of course, you might want to look at other things, but we're just going to keep it to the United States for now. And then I would put in, let's say, romantic fantasy. And then it's going to give you 10,000 results. So I'm going to filter by active, and you can also use other filters, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Now, when I look at what's doing well on here, I'm not going to look at the very first results because this is stuff that just got thrown up like yesterday. I'm trying to dig deep and find ones that came up a while ago, like, you know, at least 2 months, let's say, because most people probably wouldn't leave an ad running for 2 months or more if it wasn't doing at least something. Okay, so I say that, and now it's not going to load anything beyond June, except for this one ad. So, all right, we're going to look at June. So here are some images. It looks like this person is using the page flip videos, like a TikTok type technique, along with a little blurb. This person has, you know, the cover with a blurb and an Amazon review. Of course, this looks more like an urban fantasy that just happened to get in there through the keywords. Here's another one with an image, and you've got a blurb from another author. This one has an image with like a tagline. This one has like the trope map that you've probably seen on Instagram. And so what you might get from this is that there are a lot of different ways to make an ad, but this will give you some idea of like what kind of taglines, blurbs, excerpts, and images are working for other authors. You have a lot of options, but you could use one of these. If any of these kind of grab you, you could use it as a template for your own. And this is, of course, going to be different for every genre to a certain extent, but some things are always true. You want to keep it fairly simple. You want to communicate to the reader visually what they're getting, and then you want to have a good hook that makes them want to click and find out more. So that's how I would research beforehand. Okay, so here is the first ad that I made for my Facebook ad in Canva. Now, y'all fantasy authors, if you've ever tried to make an ad, you know how hard it is to find a good image to use because stock photos for fantasy novels are terrible. In this case, I had an old cover that I had commissioned for this book so long ago that the style just is not really in vogue for covers anymore whatsoever. But what it does have is an image that I can use for my Facebook ads. So believe me, I made use of this image. I uploaded it to Canva. I tweaked the colors somewhat. I added the cover of the book, and then I added a tagline, which is a tiny bit misleading, but I don't always hate that because, you know, you're just trying to get people to click it and read it. And as long as it's not so far off that the whole time they're reading it, they're thinking about your tagline going, this isn't what happens. Like, it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect as far as conveying what happens in the book. And then I added read free and Kindle Unlimited because at the moment it is free in Kindle Unlimited. So I ran this ad for $5 a day with an audience of mostly romantic fantasy authors. Actually, this is what I should be showing you. This is how it actually looks as an ad. We have a tagline, the complex romantasy I've been longing for, and then one line from the book here. Like with this ad, I'm really just playing into your standard romantic fantasy audience, your romantasy reader, Sarah Moss, etc. So I ran that for a couple weeks, and then I tried to see if I added a guy to it, would that improve conversion? And you can once again see how hard it is to find a good image because I spent like an hour looking for a dude I could fit with her, and this was the best I could do, and he does not look like Harai at all. He doesn't even have the right hair color. But I thought I'd try it for the sake of advertising, you know, removed the background, added a glow to him so he kind of matched her. It's not like, you know, you can tell I'm not a whiz of Photoshop if you really study it, but you figure when it's shrunk down to like ad size, it's not bad. So I tried that one as well. I ran an A/B test, which is when you basically are using the same ad, but you're changing like one thing about it. And then Facebook will run like a little test where they'll deliver you the results at the end where they're like, this one performed better. This ad still didn't do terribly, but the other one did better. So I killed this ad and stuck to the first ad. Let's look at the results of this Facebook ad. This is the lifetime history of the Broken Queen. Now, as you can see, here is the first month from mid-May to mid-June. At this point, people were buying it based on being my fans already or seeing my YouTube channel. Like, I did not do any advertising during the first month, except for whatever came organically through my social media, particularly my YouTube channel. It started off pretty well, and then by mid-June, we were really in the dumps here. It was only making like less than $5 a day, and the rank was just falling and falling. At this point, I started the Facebook ad. Now, I would say that you can see that things started to stabilize after I created the first Facebook ad, and they bumped up a little bit. Like, rather than having days where I was barely making $5, I was starting to consistently make, like, generally at least $6 or $7, and on some days more. There's only a couple days where things really were not doing well. And then I even had a couple days where I made $16 or so. This period, I think, is when I had both ads running, so I was spending $2. I was spending $10 a day for a little while. That's probably where you're seeing some of these spikes. However, what you may also notice is that I'm probably averaging, you know, maybe $6 a day. And you have to think that I'm still selling some books based on my YouTube channel, which is promoting my books, you know, not a hard sell generally, but still, there are some videos where I talk about them, and people keep watching those in a trickle, and etc. I'm sure I'm getting sales off of YouTube. So in light of this, is this $5 Facebook ad making back $5 a day? Probably not. I would say for about every $5 I put into it, I'm probably making like $3, something like that. The other thing that I certainly notice about Facebook ads is that the quality of customer is very low compared to YouTube, which, I mean, isn't to say that the actual people are not good people that come through on Facebook. All I mean by that is that they're not like as engaged with my work because they're just clicking on an ad. They're not very invested in me personally. Whereas with my YouTube channel, I'm not getting like banging sales off of it, but I am getting some very dedicated readers because they're getting to know me. They're getting to know all the background. They're getting more invested than your casual Facebook click. Therefore, Facebook ads are, you know, they're good for launching a book, but I do think it's very hard to make a profit on one book on Facebook if you're not writing something that just really hits the market perfectly, delivers exactly what people want, and your ad demonstrates that you're delivering what people want. Now, if you're advertising in a series, it's a whole other story, because then you're making money on the sell-through. So with that in mind, I decided to try out an ad that promotes my backstory a little more and the fact that this is a very richly developed world. I made this one And then I made this one, which was even more sort of risky, and actually I probably am not going to use it because now that I look at it objectively, it kind of looked to me like I'm holding a roll of paper towels and not a book. So I don't know, maybe I want to find a different image before I use this ad. But at any rate, I'm going to make an ad using this image, and the text is going to hint at the depth of my fantasy world. I don't know how this one will work, but okay, so to make an ad, you're going to go into Facebook. When you're in regular Facebook on a desktop in your regular feed, you're going to see something called Ads Manager on the left. I've already clicked on that, and now I'm in Ads Manager. Now I'm going to click on Create Campaign in the top right. And now you can choose your buying type. I always choose auction. I don't even know what the other one is. And then I always choose traffic because I'm going to be sending people to a different page to buy stuff. So like I wouldn't choose sales. This is where like Facebook has changed recently. I don't know about recommended settings. This makes me wary. So I'm just going to do manual. Okay, so this campaign, I'm going to name it Broken Queen World Building. Okay, my ads are not in a special ad category, so I don't need to worry about that. They are an auction, and then you're going to have the campaign budget. I only want to start my budget at $5 a day. That's the minimum, and generally I'm using fairly niche audiences, and I have not had a lot of luck scaling up. Some people have. If your ad's doing really well, you might want to try scaling up, but I've never gone above $15 a day because even then it seems like I'm just kind of blowing through the audience and the ad's effectiveness drops off very quickly. And I don't bother with any of this. Create A/B test. I might do this later, so I guess I'm going to click on it. Now the ad set name is when you're going to define your audience, so I'm going to say romantic fantasy audience. Well, let's say US. Now this does become important later. I have learned the hard way. You want to give your ads a clear name because like later, let's say you have a US audience that does well and you want to do a UK one. Well, the easiest way to do that is to put it under the folder Broken Queen World Building and then just make another ad that's UK romantic fantasy audience. But if you don't title stuff well to begin with, you can easily get extremely confused about what you're dealing with and where it is, like when you're trying to turn off ads or change them. So give it a really clear name for what the audience, well first what the ad is going to be, then for what the ad set, what the audience is going to be. Say, so conversion, I'm going to drive traffic to a website. My goal is I want to maximize the number of link clicks. Yes. Dynamic creative is if you want to do like multiple images that can switch around. I'm not going to bother with that right now, but you can if you want to get fancy. Okay, so budget. We've already set the budget and the location is the United States. Let's just limit to English because we're selling books. So we definitely want people who speak English. This is not a product that is going to be sold to people who don't. Now we have the Advantage Plus audience. Our ad technology automatically finds your audience. If you share an audience suggestion, we'll prioritize audiences matching this profile before searching more widely. I have not tried this. I have done the original audience options. I probably would try this since I haven't done it before and just see if it works, and then I might add in some suggestions here. But for the sake of the tutorial, we're going to switch to the original audience. That way you can see how to do the audience. Since this is a romance, we're going to switch to female only. Age, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Now here's where you're going to put in like fantasy romance. That's not a suggestion. Okay, so one thing you should know about Facebook's ad targeting is that you have to put in like ideas like Sarah J. Moss. Okay, here's her audience, 358,000 to 421,000 people. is what you could reach. Okay, great. But a lot of other people that you might think of are not going to be in here. They don't seem to update them very often. So let's say you wanted to put in Rebecca Yaros. No results found because that's too new. Doesn't matter how big the fourth wing is, too new. What other romantic fantasy authors are there out there? Like Raven Kennedy. Nope. Of course not. I knew that wouldn't be in there. When I was trying to advertise Doll Girl Meets Dead Guy, I thought, oh, an obvious one would be The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not an option. Guess what is? The Nightmare Before Christmas Oogie's Revenge video game with an audience size of 1,600 people. Make it make sense. You know, we got Sarah J. Maas. Who else could we do? Mercedes Lackey. She's in there. Love her. Anne McCaffrey. She's in there. Okay, so now you can click suggestions because we've got a few in there and see what it gives you. Okay, so romantic fantasy. That's an option. I'm going to say that I could go with, since I'm going to advertise this as more of a fantasy this time than a romantic fantasy exclusively, I'm going to say that I could put Brandon Sanderson in there. Let's put Alona Andrews in there too, because she does have some books that might be a little closer to what I'm doing. So as you can see, there are a lot of like urban fantasy, but not a lot of the newer romantasy. I know Cassandra Clare's in there, so let's see who we get if we put her in. Maybe a few YA authors would be good. Okay, so I found a few more. We got in here Kristen Kishore, Laini Taylor, Shauna McGuire, Holly Black. So we got a pretty big audience now. Now, if you want to narrow your audience a little more, you can define it further to say it must also match Amazon Kindle. Okay, that was just the employer's Amazon Kindle. Okay, whatever. So, okay, so it's romantic fantasy authors and, you know, adjacent as well as Kindle. And now we get to the part where we do the creative part of the ad. And here's where I'm going to do, let's see, Broken Queen, Girl, and Cover. Apparently I need to accept some kind of new terms of service. Okay, so I don't even know what that is. It's going to run through my author Facebook page. I need to connect it to my Instagram account, but I haven't done it, so whatever. We're not going to worry about that in this exact moment. Okay, we're going to manually upload the image that I created in Canva. We're going to do a single image. You can also do, you know, multiples to do like a carousel collection, but I've only ever done a single image. Now here's what it's going to connect to. We're putting in the email for the book, or we're putting in the URL for the book on Amazon. Okay, so I uploaded the image. It's going to show you how your ad will appear in like other placements, which can get kind of annoying because it'll cut parts of it off, but you know, this works. When you're making your image, you do kind of want to keep it away from like the edges because some of them are more vertical and they'll kind of cut off the edges sometimes. Then it will want to do a bunch of weird AI stuff with it. So I'm just like not gonna do any of this because I think it looks ugly. I don't want music. I'm a curmudgeon. I definitely don't want text improvements because God only knows what they do with that. Okay, I guess I'll just leave on visual touch-ups because like that barely seemed to change anything, and relevant comments I guess is fine. Then it's going to tell you to do a bunch of stuff that I'm just going to ignore because again, I'm old. Here's the primary text. This is where you can put in like a lot of text if you want to. So I'm going to try something kind of unique, and I'm going to focus more on how long I've been writing about the world, make it a little more personal, more like I would say on YouTube. I've never tried an ad like this before, so this is purely experimental. Okay, so here's the primary text I wrote, and as you can see, this is a lot more like I would talk on YouTube. 30 years ago, when I was just a nerdy kid, I started writing about a fantasy world inspired by all the things I loved, from Final Fantasy games to Valdemar novels, anime, and comic books. I filled notebooks with details, drew maps, invented a language, but of course, I should probably say and invented a language because that's a sentence fragment. Even as I got older and wrote many other novels to market, I never abandoned this world. It has grown into a complex, heartfelt, and often quirky place, almost a family to me and perhaps to you too. I am finally following my heart and writing books about my beloved hidden lands. And then Facebook will suggest weird AI versions of what you just wrote that make no sense whatsoever. And it'll try to get you to use these so that you have like variations on the text. And I am like, hell no. I'm gonna do one, tired of cookie cutter romantasy. Now it's suggesting that I call it Quest for the Hidden Lands. Follow your heart to the hidden lands. That's so funny. Okay, so again, this ad is kind of a gamble for me because it's really betting on the idea based on some YouTube channels I've seen and some talk on Bookstagram that there is a contingent of people who want a romantic fantasy that has more fantasy, more world building, and is not just a Court of Thorn and Roses copied and pasted. We'll see how it goes. This one will be kind of extra interesting to see, and I'm going to publish it. Okay, now later I'm going to set up the A and B test, and I'm going to do that with like more of an image of my face in the book, see if that does any better, but I'm going to get to that later. So for now, this is what I have. And before I publish this video, as I shoot this part, it's Wednesday, and I'm going to put this video up on Sunday, so I should have like some initial results as far as like, is it driving any sales? Is it getting any clicks? Personally, within the first week, I want to see the cost per result go down to like 15 cents or less. Like the first ad I showed you is currently sitting at 12 cents for CPC. So that's a pretty good number. That's where I want to see it. Maybe I've had some that have been as low as like 7 or 8 cents, which is quite good, but I'm happy with under 15 cents. It's going to take a few days though. It always tends to get like cheaper over the course of the first week and even few weeks, and then it'll run for a while at like its peak optimization, and then the market will start to get oversaturated, and at that point the cost per click might start to go up again. That's when you might think about changing up the ad or maybe just not doing Facebook ads on that book anymore. But yes, on Sunday I will have some results for you, and I guess I'll stick my face in here real quick to tell you that if you enjoyed this video, I'm going to continue this series, trying some different advertising techniques, letting you know how they went. All right, editing Lydia here real quick, just to let you know that the ad is running. The cost per click is like 14 cents so far, which is pretty okay. I have not really seen any major effect on sales. They might be up like $1 or $2 a day. It can be hard to tell with Kindle Unlimited because people don't always read the book right away, so I'm going to keep an eye on it, but generally I'm not sure this ad is worth it. Actually, I might just like kill all the ads now that I've finished this video because I don't need to give Mark Zuckerberg any more money. If you've had any experiences with Facebook ads or have any tips for anybody, feel free to share. I, again, find the whole thing very confusing and I don't really enjoy it whatsoever, so I just keep it very simple and it seems to work. So like you could optimize it more, I'm sure, but I'm okay with how it's going for me as it is. I just don't have the bandwidth to really optimize Facebook ads. I hope that if you feel the same, you found this video somewhat helpful. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, click the subscribe button if you're not already. And if you really want more from me, you can join either my Substack or Patreon with some free posts, or my $5 Patreon tier gets you access to my Discord server and one free bonus video a month, along with other little perks. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Best of luck with all of your advertising endeavors. Bye.